watchOS 10 might be one of the biggest updates to the Apple Watch that we've ever seen, at least in terms of software. And so in this video, we're gonna go over 5 of the biggest changes in watchOS 10. So let's start with some of the biggest UI functionality changes, and that is the Smart Stack, because this actually changes what happens when you swipe up from the bottom. You're no longer going to Control Center, which we'll get into that in just a minute. But with Smart Stack, you remember that Siri watch face that had those cards and kind of gave you like ever-changing stackable widgety cards that popped up whenever you needed them, and that's pretty much what's going on here. And you can actually customize this. So if you swipe up from the bottom, you'll see the first thing here that I have is the calendar. You'll see another, like, the time and date, and then when you swipe up, you'll have your activity, heart rate, weather, and you have this little like 3-stack widget here, which gives me the battery, a workout, and messages. And then if you want to get to all of your apps, you can also do that from here by tapping the all apps part. But the one thing that you can do is obviously you can long press and you can get rid of some of these things. So let's say I want to get rid of heart rate, but I want to add something else. I can do that pretty easily, just kind of like how we normally add widgets and things to our iPads or our iPhones. You can do that in the same way. You just long press, hold, then press the plus button, and you have a bunch of different options. There's activity, alarms, different audio books, astronomy, heart rate, medications, mindfulness, music, noise, and then of course when third-party apps come in, which there are already some third-party apps that I'm noticing here. Aura, which is for the smart ring. There is, actually that's really the only one that I'm noticing right now. For some reason, Aura is already ahead of the game. Oh, MLB, and those are the only third-party ones that I'm seeing right now. But let's go ahead and add music. So now I have the music app. And if you want to customize that little 3 widget one here where I have the battery, workout, and messages, I can do that by just long pressing and then hitting the minus, getting rid of something there. And then you just tap the plus button to add something else. These are like these little micro widgets. Let's say I want to do this one. I guess that's compass or something. Yeah, you can do that. And then when you're all done, just hit done. And yeah, this is your stackable widget. You can also use the crown from here if you don't want to swipe up. Swiping up's been a little tricky on this for some reason. It's just been like registering as a long press. So I kind of like to use the digital crown. But you can do it however you choose. And that's Smart Stack, and I really like this way more than having to dive into apps for information, which is what Apple wanted to do. Although the apps are pretty cool, at least all of the first-party apps have gotten quite a redesign, and so that's actually our second biggest change here. And these apps look really, really good. So it's kind of confusing to me that Apple wanted you to kind of stay out of apps more and in this like widget form, but made their apps so much better. But let's touch on some of the biggest changes here. So activity, you now have like full screen pages of different things. And while it does take a little bit more time to get to bits and pieces of information, it does look visually a lot better. And so here I can tap on, if I want to get to more summaries, that's a little widget in the top right, left, which is kind of like a little complication thing. Here's my badges or awards, and here is the sharing that we do. But if you want to see your different ring information or your steps, you just keep swiping. So here's a full page. It's early in the day, but here's move, here is exercise, and here are your stand pages, and then you can see your steps, and you can see what workout you've done. And that is really it. There's a bunch of, obviously you can use the crown for everything. And obviously it doesn't stop at just one app. There are a few apps and hopefully more down the line that are going to be getting this nice big UI here with these changes. But the weather app comes to mind. So here's your little widget center there. And then when you swipe up, and not a widget center, but your little like notification, glanceable information is your first page. Swipe up and you get your around the clock kind of weather update. Keep going and you can see the 10-day forecast, and then I believe that is the last one. And of course there are some little things here to go between different cities that you might have monitored. And then if you tap on this other one here in the top right, you can change your different viewing areas. So you have condition, temperature, precipitation, wind, your UV index, your visibility, and for me right now, air quality is kind of a big thing. So not so great today, but you can get all of that information in this really good swipeable UI. World clock's pretty cool too. It's got a nice little updated UI. You can scroll through if you want to go through different time areas. And then if you want to check out different locations, you can do that. And the Stocks app looks really nice. And again, I'm just really hoping that a lot of other apps turn into this kind of full page, really nice looking UI, because that is one of the major features of watchOS 10 that I am really enjoying, is that these apps just look really, really good. So when you do need to use them, at least you're getting all of this nice information. It really does show and takes advantage of large screens like the Apple Watch Ultra. Now the next change is pretty big, but it's a quick one. And it's just because, you know, we have that new way to swipe up for Smart Stack, some things have changed. So usually when you swipe up, you get to Control Center, but now you can actually just touch the side button here, and that'll take you to Control Center, which I just accidentally hit that button, and now it's gonna make a bunch of noise. But yeah, you tap on the side button, and that will give you Control Center no matter where you are in any app, which is nice. It's a lot easier to get to that way. And then if you want to get to your apps, you of course can touch in the digital crown here, and that actually changed as well. I have it on list view, but I will show you when you go back to the grid view, it actually looks a little bit better. And so instead of them being, you know, crazily scattered throughout in this grid view, they're kind of more in rows, and it just makes it a little bit easier to find what you might be looking for. Instead of just being so crazy, again, it is kind of in this like uniform way of scrolling through, and you can get a visual look of the app's icon and maybe find things a little bit faster. I usually use list view, but at times list view, when you have so many apps scrolling through, could take a lot of time. So this view could really help. Say you want to get to the compass, you just look for it and it's right there, and that was pretty easy. And they're kind of in no particular order, but you can also delete apps this way as well by long pressing. So nothing has changed there, but that's just kind of two bigger changes to the buttons and how that UI works now. The next change in watchOS 10 is actually you're getting 2 new watch faces, and they look really, really good on an Apple Watch Ultra because it just, again, this whole full screen thing. So the first one here, actually the right at the top, you have Palette and the Snoopy watch face. So let's go ahead and add the Snoopy one, and you can make changes by going to different colors. Let's see, I really like orange. Let's keep it there. This is the Great Pumpkin. So there's your Snoopy watch face. Really cool, some awesome animations that happen in this. You know, it's fun watch faces. I'll never knock Apple for giving us fun watch faces. I will say, I would like some sort of third-party watch face store or the ability to add third-party watch faces, but we're not there yet. But at least we're getting new updates, and so when it's asleep, which is really cool, you can tap it, wakes them up. Just a really neat watch face, especially if you're a big fan of Snoopy, you'll really enjoy this. And then Palette is the other watch face along with Snoopy that is new for watchOS 10. It's got a lot of colors to it, like this gradient style here. There's a bunch of different gradients that you can choose from, which I think are the coolest looking ones. I probably wouldn't go with some of the solid colors, but even the solid colors are gradient versions of those solid colors, and then you can just pick a bunch of different options there. There are 4 complications, 1 on each corner that you can do. And that's really it. Again, the Apple Watch Ultra really does a good job of showcasing these new watch faces because it's just such a big screen and it looks really, really good. And the last thing I want to touch on is the Mindfulness app. It got a redesign, but also it has a new feature where you can track your mood, which I think is really, really cool and makes me want to use the Mindfulness app. So you tap on it, it'll ask you, how are you feeling right at this moment? Let's see, I am feeling pretty pleasant. I get to make a video, and whenever I'm doing that, I'm feeling pretty good. What describes this feeling? I'm grateful that I get to make these videos. And so you can go ahead and log these in, hit the next button here, and then it'll say, what's having the biggest impact on you? And I would say, work. Work is having a good impact. I'm excited. And you can add more contacts if you want to, or you can just go ahead and log it. And then you can go ahead and reflect on these later on and just keep track of your current mood. And I'm curious to see how this will interact with the journal app that's set to come later in iOS 17. I'm guessing this stuff will be entered in that journal, but I don't know for sure because I haven't tested it. And so yeah, that is watchOS 10 in terms of the 5 bigger changes, but there are a few other ones that we're gonna do a deep dive on later on. So be sure to subscribe again so you don't miss all of that. And of course, hit the thumbs up button if you ended up liking this video, and I will catch everyone in the next video.